Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome to the show starring Andrew Aaron. He's a psychotherapist, marriage counselor, sex therapist, and so much more. Helpforpassion.com is his website, and he's here, of course, to help all of us today with one of his amazing topics for the day. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
Hi, Jill. I'm doing good today. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, especially that I get to talk to you. That always makes things better because you cheer me up, and we always have great conversation. And I got to ask, what's in store for us today?
Oh, you're so kind, Jill. Very nice comments. And I'm glad I have that effect on you. I'm hoping that I also have that effect on all those who are listening in.
Yep.
Right. The topic for today is arguments.
That's a good one. That's something
right?
we all deal with, but don't deal with them all correctly, I'm assuming.
Well, of course, it's a very difficult issue. A lot of couples, their relationship is polluted with painful and upsetting and intense conflicts. Also, in my role as a sex therapist, I'm always doing my best to help couples have the most passion, have the most fun, have the best connection, have the most pleasure. Right? And there are certain preconditions to succeed at achieving those. And one of the preconditions is for partners to be non-hurtful people. However, when it comes to certain challenges, certain differences between romantic partners, of course, we know that many couples end up in arguments, right? And in the couples who come see me for help, the couples who I talk to from all over our country, sometimes all over the world, I hear about really intense, large, ugly, very hurtful conflicts that couples get into, right? And it's always my job to help take apart the conflicts and help couples learn how to be really good problem-solving team members, so that on their own at some point without me, because it's always my job to put myself out of business, and that is to help couples to learn the strategies so they can solve problems on their own without becoming embroiled in these nasty, escalated and ugly conflicts, right?
Also, in turn, I'm sure, besides just verbally arguing, sometimes that could lead to a physical altercation, a push, a shove, a hit. And that's obviously not what we want to talk about. We want to see happen, but it's true. When you argue with someone, the rage, the anxiety, you sometimes lose your mind in a sense, not making excuses, but let's be honest, you're the expert at this. I'm sure you've dealt with couples who have taken their arguments to a physical level at times.
Absolutely. And it is literally true, Jill, that partners lose their mind. What happens is that the intensity of their pain and emotion floods them. So they are not thinking rationally. They have literally lost their mind and they're behaving out of their pain.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And when couples do that, a terrible thing occurs. And that is when things escalate to that level, that's oftentimes when things happen that never should happen, that the authorities are contacted, that now the government and the system comes in and takes control of the situation, and partners lose control of their lives. Mm-hmm. So I strongly encourage all of our listeners to never take it to that level. It's unacceptable. That's behavior that should never be a part of your relationship, because as partners, you should never be treating your partner like that.
Yeah.
Where our attempt is to be non-hurtful people, is to be loving people, right? So I've said it many, many times. Successful couples have problems, but they make their problems smaller, whereas unsuccessful couples have problems, but make their problems bigger. So our discussion today about conflict is strategies to be like those more successful couples, that we have a problem, we encounter a difficulty, and we make the problem smaller, all right? And if we are to be that loving couple with great connection and closeness, with positive passion and a lot of pleasure, well, certain things have to be a part of our love relationship, such as emotional safety,
Yeah.
right? We're not going to open up. We're not going to feel completely relaxed being really close to somebody who just insulted us
Hmm.
or who just did something with great insensitivity to our well-being, right? We're not going to do that with someone we don't trust or somebody who does not show that we're valuable people, right? And all these kinds of hurts and pain are the result um, of arguments and escalated conflicts, that they result in not solving a problem, but actually multiplying problems. When two partners get into a nasty argument, they come away more injured and have more challenge being a part of a good togetherness than they did before the argument.
Yeah.
All right. It's a non-effective way to address a problem. And when we address problems, it's vital that we're able to separate out our pain, our emotion from the problem itself. Because most of us are capable, are competent, are sufficiently intelligent that if we're presented with a problem, we can find a solution to the problem. But it's a whole different game when we're now dealing with pain and intense emotion.
Yeah.
And these all wrap together in a large conflict. So I'm actually working on a book right now all about solving problems and a problem-solving protocol that couples can use to separate out the intense emotion and the pain from the problem itself, so couples can be empowered to be a really good problem-solving team,
Can
which
you
is essential.
can you give us some of those tips and advice on problem solving skills? Could you give us a little share here, Andrew?
Absolutely. Of course. Um, one of the big challenges for couples is that when problems remain unsolved, each problem is associated with a certain amount of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And when that remains unresolved, the problems tend to be repetitive. And so what occurs in love relationships is that the pain from those unresolved problems tends to accumulate in the love relationship.
Yeah.
And when this occurs, the dynamic in the love relationship then is ruled and run by the pain that's contained within the relationship. You see? And it's only when couples are able to solve their problems and therefore eliminate that accumulation of pain is there the possibility that love can actually run the relationship, right? So that's the challenge, is for the protocol to help guide couples in how to protect a communication from that accumulated pain. Because if not, that pain is going to flood into the moment once it's provoked because there was an insensitive comment, a poorly timed gesture, a lack of consideration. If it's accumulated, which it has for most couples, that there's a huge reservoir of pain internalized for most partners, and all it takes is a little trigger for it suddenly to flood into the moment, and things are said that can't be taken back, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, most of us have had those experiences, and they're very, very painful and upsetting, right?
How do you get your partner to want to be better? How do you get them to come see you, Andrew? Sometimes that's not always easy, right? To get your partner to seek the help to benefit both partners.
No, it's not easy. There are a lot of resistant partners, and when dealing with a resistant partner, I encourage the more eager or enthusiastic partner to even start coming into therapy alone and to start one-on-one. And then I design a whole a whole pathway to start addressing the resistant partner's concerns. And so what then happens is over time, the resistant partner says, hey, wait a second, you're going to see that guy. And I've noticed that actually some things are getting better. And this seems friendly to me and my needs and my feelings. And oftentimes then the resistant partner will start to participate.
I should. Perfect. All right, that's good. So you do give
Right.
the tools in a sense and some options to start working
Absolutely.
themselves personally and with their. That's great to know. Okay, good.
Yeah. And in such an instance, I may start to give the one partner who's participating some of the tools to start transforming ugly, hurtful conflicts to more peaceful, problem-solving oriented discussions,
Yeah.
right? When two people are arguing, actually no problems are being solved. When two people are arguing, it's an ineffective way of communicating that does not result in problem resolution. Actually, what it results in is partners not understanding each other, not being compassionate to each other's pain, and both partners feeling less understood and more injured by the other. That's the nature of an argument. So when couples come to see me and they say, oh, we argue every other day, right? Then I already know that they do not yet possess the skills to solve a problem. And they're stuck in a cycle of pain in which each just continues to provoke the other's pain and they swap the pain back and forth. It's very, very frustrating and results in tremendous hopelessness, right? And that's when a lot of partners, especially female partners, say, I don't think this relationship is for me. I don't think this is a successful relationship. I just chose the wrong partner because all we do is argue, right? And female partners are the more likely of, in a heterosexual relationship, the partner to end the relationship. And conflict, repetitive conflict, is one of the chief reasons why female partners end love relationships.
Got it. Wow, interesting. All right, so more talking about conflict and arguments. And Andrew Aaron, just want to point out helpforpassion.com is your website. You're also
That's right.
you can pick up some of your books as well. And just give us your contact information before we continue.
Sure. Look me up online. My website is the chief way to find me. That's helpforpassion.com. That's help, F-O-R, passion.com. And on the website, I've designed it to be a great resource for you, a place where there's a lot of my writings there that can help you learn some of the very things I'm talking about now, can help you develop some skills and understand the dynamics of your love relationship. So perhaps you can even solve some problems without ever entering therapy.
Perfect. And you offer a lot of free tools on your website that people can navigate through for all different, obviously, forms of any help they need, right? Including, we talked a lot before in regards to sexual relationships. You help partners with sex, and in general, there's a whole sheet on there, of course, in
That's
conversation.
right.
We can help you. And what other areas do you specialize in?
I specialize in individual psychotherapy. I've done decades of work with people who are depressed, people who are struggling with anxiety, people who struggle with panic disorder, people going through transitional times in their lives, a whole assortment of sexually based difficulties, you name it. I've helped and I have experience working with that. Those are predominantly it. Of course, marital counseling, every aspect of love relationship issues, connection, passion, but also quality of life. I also help individuals and couples with wealth building and do a lot of work with couples regarding growing wealth, developing nest eggs and good and secure retirement. However, I also do a lot of work with people regarding issues of spirituality. I teach a lot of people the skills of meditation and how to know themselves and love themselves more and more deeply so that they start to understand the deeper meaning and the purpose of their lives. right? So to guide their journey through life so their lives are very, very fulfilling. And of course, I do believe that this is one of the deeper reasons why we form a love relationship and why we choose the partners that we do.
Great. And where's your office located? And you can work with people in person and virtually?
Yeah, right now, probably 60% of my couples and individual patients come in to see me face to face. Of course, if they're located in the proximity to my office, but I do work with people throughout our country and worldwide. And for those folks and the 40% who prefer, I do, of course, do video-based therapy sessions.
Right. So, in continuing our conversation today in regards to conflict and arguing, would you say this past year with the pandemic, have you seen an increase in this type of behavior amongst couples since a lot of them have been quarantined? A lot of them have been home together longer. Did you see something in particular this year that, is unprecedented?
This has, of course, been a terribly difficult year, and isolation and quarantining have turned up the heat on the problems. So right now, I'm as busy as I can be. However, talking with you is an opportunity to share my experience and expertise with those who might never seek therapy with me, and that's okay. But because of the pressure cooker of all the stresses during this past year, I have seen an unprecedented number of couples struggle with problems that previously they could cope with, but now with the pressures of the pandemic, the economic uncertainties, then those problems become even more intense than ever. The inability to contain anger and keep arguments small has always been a very popular problem. So I wouldn't say I see that more than normal or more than before the pandemic. However, I think more and more couples are seeking help for their relationships because in the face of all the adversity and stress we've been going through, they need help more than ever, right? So I'd say the first recommendation I have for couples is to stay in the present. What couples do when they start to engage in a conflict is because the pain is activated and the pain is accumulated from numerous small past events, is that partners refer back to the past and start talking about the history of their feelings about the current event or the feelings about the anger that they now experience. And what that tends to do is that tends to awaken all the old internalized emotion, pain, or anger, and then floods the present moment with it. Now, the challenge for couples is when something has hurt one partner or the other, the challenge is to contain the intensity of the pain they feel. We only have so much strength as men and women, and we can only contain so much intensity. But when partners behave out of pure emotion, partners then invite the full intensity into that moment in time and realize that they do not have the strength to contain it. That's when partner personality becomes distorted and they stop functioning rationally in ways that are actually about being constructive or in their best interest. And the moment then explodes. So I help couples to prevent that intense emotion from flooding the moment of issue, of when the problem surfaces. So the first step in doing so is to stay right in the present. Let's talk about this problem that we're experiencing right now, instead of being tempted to invite the pain from the past. We want to stop the flow of the pain into the present moment, and that protects the moment. Another thing is to speak in a positive way. to talk about what we want instead of talking about what our partner did wrong. So immediately we are eliminating blame. We're eliminating criticism. We're eliminating accusation, because those are not positive. When we speak positively, we're talking about what we can make that could be better. All right. In addition to being positive, it's valuable and useful for partners to talk constructively about what are potential solutions, possibilities, and ideas. As well as staying in the positive, we also avoid making our partner wrong. Because there's a very interesting phenomenon in love relationships, and it's an emotional belief a lot of partners have, and they don't realize they have it. And what that belief says is, if I'm hurt, my partner must be wrong. And that's not necessarily true. Oftentimes, our partner maybe was insensitive or thoughtless or inconsiderate, but they weren't necessarily wrong. Okay? So if we stay positive, we eliminate the possibility of playing a game that a lot of partners play. It's not such a nice game, and that is making our partners wrong. Right? And when we do that, we protect the other from having to react defensively to feeling criticized or attacked. Okay? We're containing the negativity and the intensity and the painful emotion, so partners can focus on the problem instead of on the intensity or the pain, letting the pain run the moment. Because when our pain runs the moment, it'll always be ugly. It'll always bring out the worst in both partners. And then, unfortunately, the moment will escalate and partners will behave in a hurtful way, not in a loving way. And it'll make the problem expand. It'll escalate. It'll become hurtful. And once we hurt our partner, we can never take it back. Right? It's like the bell that can never be unrung.
Is that like you can forgive but can't forget?
That's true. That becomes part of the record of the love relationship. It's now built into the history of the love relationship that says, I know my partner can behave nicely and they can love, but I also know how hurtful they can be, right? And that's now in the record of the love relationship. So there's a need for emotional safety in a successful love relationship. And certainly if we're going to open ourselves up in lovemaking to our partner, and if in the history of the relationship there's a lot of hurtfulness, well, emotional safety then is capped at a certain level, right? And that a certain potential in the love relationship is now lost. Not that forgiveness isn't possible, it is, but we can never unring the bell.
It makes it that much harder, yes.
Yes, it does. So those are a few things, Jill, that I guide my couples in dealing with moments when there is a problem, when there's hurt, because I believe partners need to communicate to solve problems constructively instead of activating their pain and anger and multiplying the problems and then becoming hurtful and causing disconnection instead of solving the problems and strengthening the connection.
Wow. Sitting across from a couple virtually or in person, I mean, I could only imagine sometimes how that energy feels, right? With two people who are conflicting, arguing, and that you could just sense it in front of them, let alone now they're in front of you, hopefully able to open up about their true feelings. But has it ever got to a point where sometimes it's escalated too much? You start meditating with them or teaching them techniques like meditation to calm down a little bit and breathe?
Oh, absolutely. In a lot of the work I guide my clients through, there's a lot of mindfulness-based practices. I do provide them with skills to relax themselves and calm their intense emotion and develop much greater strength of emotional regulation. Of course, I also teach many of them to meditate. That's true. However, in the moment when a couple comes to see me, and I can tell very quickly that there's a lot of intensity built up, a lot of accumulated pain. And at first, I will help each partner to understand the other better. But with me, couples do not argue. In my office, arguments do not happen. Things do not escalate. I maintain a firm but positive and supportive control so that my office is always, Jill, a safe place where partners can feel like they can be themselves.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
as far as our Under the Sheets episode for today, what else did you want to add before we go? We still have a few minutes before we go in regards to any other tips or anything you want to mention about someone out there who's maybe watching today, thinking they may need some help and there has been conflict in their relationship. And again, we're talking their other half in a sense, whether it be a partner, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, but also, do you work with, parents and children, that type of relationship where there's also conflict?
I do at times. It's not my specialty. I will do it when I'm working with a couple and they have a child sometimes
Yeah.
to help solve a problem. I'll work
Okay.
with them. I oftentimes do work with a teen here or there who's having difficulty. Again, oftentimes the child of a couple that I've already worked with. Most of my focus is on adults and adult-based challenges. Yeah.
Great. And in closing today, how would you like to end the show, Andrew?
To let those listeners know that getting help is a very good choice. By getting help, you are stopping the flow of pain. It's really important to get help to get out of pain as fast as possible. You don't need to suffer additionally. So please reach out, get help. It may not be from me, it may be from another specialist regarding love relationships, but go ahead and get help so you're out of pain most quickly.
Beautiful. And helpforpassion.com is the website. What other forms of contact would you like to share with everyone today?
No, that's the best, Jill.
Perfect.
Please, I invite you to look me up on the website and learn as much about me as you can. Helpforpassion.com. That's help, F-O-R, passion.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us once again today, Andrew Aaron. Always a pleasure speaking with you and giving us that advice that all of us do need, because we've all been in these circumstances and situations before, let's be honest. And not everybody has those skills and capabilities of handling it. And it's great to hear from you to get that perspective. And again, helpforpassion.com. Check out the website. Andrew could help you further there and hopefully can give you a consultation as well. Thank you again for your time and looking forward to the next conversation, Andrew.
Very nice to be with you, Jill.
Thank you. Have a great day. Same
Okay.
for everyone else. And stay tuned. Of course, more of the show is on the way.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.